on, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. It is 2 days before our long run and it is currently about 9:30 at night. We are doing a carb load. We have here, this is rice and spinach, and we have 3 of these, and we are about to carb load. We are going to eat these about 2 days out before our long run. I'm experimenting with carb loading a few days before my long run. We have 10 miles on Saturday, so we're gonna eat 3 of those. I got this seaweed from like Acme or my supermarket down the street for a few bucks. Scoop some jasmine rice on it. Gonna eat these right before I go to bed. Seaweed wrapped with rice. We're gonna put these down with some peak sleep right here in this cup. And that is what we're doing 2 days before our long run. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Morning, guys. We are officially 16 weeks out from our marathon. Today, we got our long run. It's about 6:30 in the morning. We got 10 miles easy. For this week, collectively, we got 43 miles. When we get into August, that's when prep like really gets intense. We'll probably hit 70, 80 miles weekly. But right now, 10 miles easy. Right before this run, we took 1 scoop of G1M Sport, 2 scoops of electrolytes, and I also had 2 pieces of toast with a banana and honey for some quick carbs. You guys are running, and when you guys are endurance training, when you are running long miles, you need to have something in your system or you're gonna bonk. Especially since I'm a bigger guy, I need food in my system, and this overall makes me feel better and doesn't give me stomach rot. So 2 scoops of electrolytes, about 1,000 milligrams of sodium, and then 1 scoop of G1M Sports, about 20 grams of carbs, and a full profile of electrolytes. So 10 miles, we're gonna do a 5-mile loop around what we usually do, and then we're gonna go around the neighborhood. The biggest thing with marathon training is being able to run on heavy legs and how much volume you can actually handle. So with sub 3-hour marathon training, you have to have a certain amount of volume during the week to be able to even come close to running a sub 3. So like I said, 43 miles right now is our weekly mileage, and then it's gonna start building 50, 60, 70, probably at the top of the prep, we'll hit close to 80 miles a week.
Daddy worked like a mule mining Pike County coal. He fucked up his back and couldn't work anymore. He said, one of these days you'll get out of these hills. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. See, the ways of this world will just bring you to tears. Keep the Lord in your heart and you'll have nothing to fear. Live the best that you can and don't lie and don't steal. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills.
Beautiful day out. It's not too hot, not too sticky, just the right type of weather. If I was gonna choose, if I was gonna run a marathon, what weather I'd be choosing, it would be this. Just a tad cooler, and we clocking them 6-minute paces, baby. Feels good, no? Usually Jersey, it's sticky, and it's fucking humid as hell. And humidity kills, just like drains you. All right, guys, mile 3, we're taking vanilla bean. I like coffee, so hopefully it's good.
Goblin.
Oh, tastes like coffee, baby. 3 miles down, 7 miles to go. Let's go. I'm gonna take another gel at mile 7. Feeling strong, feeling good. Nothing's really hurting, we're just cruising. miles in, running 8:10 pace, 8:15 pace. Feel pretty good. Yeah, feel pretty good. Alright, y'all, we are on mile 7 here. We're gonna hit one more gel. What flavor we got, Taylor?
I got that chocolate outrage, baby. About to go wild.
Let's see.
Tastes good, right?
This one's way better. It felt like a triple chocolate cake exploding in my mouth.
It's hot sauce.
Does it taste like a triple chocolate melt down in your mouth?
No. That's it. It might be the lack of glycogen in his body talking.
Right now.
Nice.
Woo! Guys, that is the end of the long run this week. Actually, beautiful run. I feel really smooth and really strong. So we ran at an 8:24 pace for 10 miles. I can't say anything much more. It was a really good run, and that concludes 16 weeks left of prep, and it's about to get really serious. So my heart rate on the watch says 153. We take that heart rate with a grain of salt, because when you are testing or trying to find out what your heart rate is, you don't want to go off your watch. You want to go off a chest strap monitor. This is my first tip for when it becomes to come faster. So what you use is your Maffetone method. So that is 180 minus your age. So for me, it's 180 minus 23. My maximum aerobic heart rate is 157. So I want to remain below that for all my easy runs, which is about 5 out of 7 days a week. That is the end of the 10-mile run, 153 beats per minute, and I feel really good. I'll get you guys back at home. We are officially 16 weeks out from this marathon, and this is truly where the marathon build starts. I'm super excited to see what we build in these 16 weeks to get into sub 3 hour marathon shape. The main thing when training for a marathon is being able to run on tired legs, the amount of volume you can actually hold, hitting your tempo workouts and hitting your fartlek workouts. It's so important, and it takes time to build aerobic endurance. That's why the sport of endurance is so mind-blowing to me, because it's so scientific. You have to be so precise in what you do for training. And most of the time when you are bodybuilding, you see changes in the mirror. But when you are training for endurance, it's all inside, and that endurance builds up and you don't even notice, because one day you'll be running 8 to 9 miles and you'll get back, you'll be like, I'm fine. Let's go get some breakfast, instead of being completely dead, which is, I think, is so crazy. 16 weeks, let's do this shit. After every run, we have the strong stack. So strong greens, strong reds, health and wellness. You really want to implement right after you run. You want to flood the body with nutrients as much as possible. Helps with digestion, helps with bloating, helps with pretty much if you don't get enough greens in. And reds is if you don't get enough fruits in. Health and wellness product. And then we're gonna stack it with strong joints, just to make sure everything, joint mobility and protection. This is an absolute game changer. It takes about 30 days for you to start feeling effects, but once it does, once it starts saturating into your joints, you're gonna feel a lot better. And then electrolytes, you absolutely need this when training for endurance. You want to replenish after your runs. And so after the 10 miles, we'll do, since it was sticky, humid, I was drenched in sweat, we're gonna do 2 scoops of electrolytes. Glutamine is anti-catabolic, just helps for muscle repairness and just make sure I recover quicker. And down the hatch, 1 pillow strong joints, strong stack. Delicious. What we need to start tracking our heart rate, start tracking our runs, what type of gear do we need to become faster? So essentially you only need 2 things, maybe 3 things. You need to be able to run, you need to be able to track your heart rate, and you need to be able to track how much mileage you do. The first thing that you need a watch. So this is a Garmin 745, the type of watch that I use to track all my runs, and this is what I use to track heart rate. This is what I use to track my mileage. Garmin Forerunner 745, really good watch. Pick this up off the Garmin website for $300 to $400. Good investment, and the battery life is really crazy on this thing. What you do is buy a chest strap monitor. It could also be from Garmin. They happen to sync via Bluetooth, so it just makes it a lot easier. My chest strap monitor hasn't come in yet, so I'm gonna put it on the screen here so you guys can look at it. So those are the 2 things that you need to start tracking your heart rate and be able to start using the MAF 180 rule. So the MAF 180 rule is 180 minus your heart rate. So what that is you take your heart rate from your watch, that is, the chest strap is attached to your chest, and you'll be able to see your heart rate real time while you're running. So that gives you a clear indicator if you are overrunning or if you are working too hard. So that is my next tip, to make sure that you have your gear. So you have your Garmin watch, and then you have a chest strap monitor to be able to track if you are running too fast. If you guys know me, you know my favorite thing in the absolute world has to be fruit. So we are going to get some acai bowls. I love getting acai bowls after a big run. Nothing better than getting some fresh fruit, getting some acai, and the granola is so good. So we're headed to Pliables to get some. I usually get like a coconut bowl, and I absolutely love that. And then we'll talk more about how we get fast. Put you guys on the craziest bowl that you ever seen in your life. What I get is the Cocoa Craze Bowl. If you guys can see here, it is packed to the brim. Cocoa Craze Bowl. Cow nibs, we got strawberries, we got coconut flakes, we got mangoes, pineapples I believe in there. Absolutely gas, absolute favorite after we run. Woo! It's dripping. No. Nice shirt. Hell yeah. When you first start using the MAF 180 rule, it might take you by surprise, because sometimes you might have to significantly cut down your pace to be able to stay in that heart rate range, to be able to build up. So what that MAF 180 rule does is sometimes we might have to jog, then walk, but over time it's gonna build this huge aerobic system. And with endurance, as I say over and over, it takes a long time to build, and as time goes on, you'll be able to jog at the same pace, jog at the same heart rate that you were walking at, or you were, going slower at, and you can go more intense on your aerobic and endurance training, because your heart rate is coming down, but your intensity is moving up, and that is the goal with the MAF 180. So I want to break it down for you guys to show you how easy the MAF 180 rule is. So this is the MAF 180. 180 minus your age equals your max aerobic heart rate. So 180 minus 23, which is my age, equals 157. This is my max aerobic heart rate, and that is what you're going to be going off of for all your aerobic runs. Your body doesn't understand pace. Your body doesn't know if it's between a 5:30 pace or a 10-minute and 30 pace. But what your body does know is effort. So there is something that is called perceived effort versus actual effort. So perceived effort is if somebody asks you how hard are you running on that run and rate it through a scale of 1 to 10. And some people might say that it was a 2 or it was an 8. But that is perceived effort. That is how hard you think your body is working. And then there is actual effort where we have actual data, so your heart rate. And this objective data, like heart rate, is what we use to essentially get faster for our goals, if that was a marathon or half marathon. There's 2 ways to measure your efforts: your perceived effort and then your objective effort. And that objective effort is actual measured data, like your heart rate, that we use to get better while aerobic training. We're about to hop on call with my coach, Jeff Cunningham. I'm about to talk about my sub-3 prep, my journey. Let's hop on call. He's a great coach. He's got a lot of insight, and he's who helped train Nick to hit a sub-3 hour marathon first, and then a sub-2 hour and 50 marathon. And I'm the next person to hit that sub-3. So let's hop on call. First question, coach, obviously, is how are we building this prep, and how are we making it for my training? And when I first came to you and I first wanted to run a sub-3 hour marathon, like, what initially did you think?
Well, my initial thought, like it was with most people, which is, this is possible, how do we make it happen, right? I mean, if you would run a 5-hour marathon, we would have to have a discussion about how long this was going to take and how realistic it was. But that wasn't your reality, right? You're in the mid-3s, and I looked at your overall potential. I looked at what you had done in the build, saw some things that I think we could change, and then just stacking block after block and building just sort of this robust aerobic engine. Eventually, it was going to be able to happen, right?
Yeah.
It's so just about putting the building blocks in place and getting you to that point.
Where do you think a lot of people go wrong when training for a sub-3?
Inconsistency and not enough volume. People are constantly surprised about how much they actually need to run to get it done, and then also don't invest in themselves in the consistency department. Consistently good over occasionally great is a quote that almost accidentally came out in a podcast many months ago, but it seems to have stuck because it's the way I view this, it's the way I view life, it's the way I've coached it for the last 21 years, right?
Yeah.
Consistency is the spice of life. People need to be consistent, right? It's, well, I was pretty good one day, then I skipped 2 days, and then I had, to go and drink 10 beers with my buddy on Saturday night, so my long run didn't start until 9 a.m., and then I cut 3 miles off, but oh, what's the harm, right? Well, you do that day after day, week after week, cut corners, cut miles, skip 1 run a week, start 1 run 3 hours too late when it's too hot, and then it ends up the ingredients in a pretty nasty tasting soup at the end of the day.
When you are designing your speed workouts, what do you look for, and scientifically, how do you design the workouts? Like, when you're breaking up for 2-minute fast, 2-minute easy, 1 minute 30 fast, 1 minute and 30 easy, like, what goes into breaking it up like that?
Well, what you have to look at is what's the race the person's preparing for, right? If they're preparing to run a 5K or preparing to run a marathon, you have to look at pace and you have to look at the volume of the workout. And then we're talking about speed work. We have to be careful to make sure that we understand what we're saying when we say speed. What is speed? What does it mean relative to the pace that you're running in the event, right? The speed work can be on a continuum of running 40-yard dashes all out, right, to running faster than race pace, but race pace might be 8 minutes a mile if you're looking to run 3:29 in a marathon. So what is speed? We have to be careful how we use the word, and we have to make sure that we're talking the same language as the people people who are either interpreting our words or are trying to visit with us about whatever it is we're doing physiologically. Now, from the standpoint of fartlek workouts, what are we looking to accomplish? You build some aerobic capacity. You touch on energy systems that you do not touch on when you're just running quote-unquote easy pace, right? And I use fartlek as a primer, as sort of like a bridge between sort of a beginner's base build phase and hitting the meat of a training phase where we're going to hit some distance-specific and split-specific training, that being interval work. 10 times an 800, 8 or 9 times 1,000 meters in X time with X amount of recovery. That's very different than fartlek work, right? Which is what you've been doing for the last several weeks, but you're about to be done with and about to then enter sort of the next phase of training where we go to some very split-centric, very pace-specific training that's going to then start dialing in physiologically the science of interval training, the science of repeat training. People use different phrases for it, but it's using a terminology to describe a workout where we run a set distance in a prescribed time. Joey, I want you to run 800 meters, and I want you to do it in 3 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to do 8 of them or 10 of them. That's an interval workout. How do we do that? Well, I use critical velocity training a lot, and it is a term that most people accept as being something that's anywhere from 90 to 95% of max VO2 pace. Some people may claim that it's as slow as 88 to 89% of MVO2 plus pace, but nonetheless, it's a pace that's slower than max VO2 pace, which is the pace that you can run all out, basically, a lot faster than you ever have before, by building out your distal capillaries. Distal meaning the edges, the ends, capillaries, the little tiny blood vessels, right, that are different than your arteries and your blood vessels. You know, we have a set number of arteries in our body, typically from birth, and that doesn't vary from one human to the next. The amount of distal capillarization we have, right, is the vascularization that delivers blood to working muscles in our extremities, varies widely. You got your couch potato, who barely has any. Why? Because the only time he calls on his muscles to do any work is when he's walking to the freezer to go and get a gallon of ice cream. So physiologically, our bodies built themselves out differently to meet the demands and make what we call the aerobic adaptations, right, that are basically the body's response to our not so subtle requests that we make every day by going out the door and wearing the rubber down off of the soles of our shoes one step after another, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing when we try to build out that system. The response that our body makes is just fantastic. The human body is the most fantastic machine the world has ever seen because it's so pliable, it's so adaptable, right? I mean, how is it that we go from not being able to speak 2 words of Spanish, being immersed in that culture, and then a year and a half, 2 years later, we could be almost completely fluent in a language that we previously didn't know, right? Well, physically, we do the same thing. Joey, look at where you were 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Look at where you are now physically, right? Those are the adaptations. Those are the responses that your body made by you putting it under the strain of training.
A lot of people always ask you, coach, like they always ask you about science and what it takes to run a sub 3. I want to ask you, like, what do you love about running? Like, what initially got you into the space, and why do you love coaching so much, and why do you love pounding the pavement?
I love coaching because I love taking people who have dreams, who have hopes, who have desires athletically, and then being able to see reasonably ordinary people do what a lot of people would deem to be pretty extraordinary things, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can go and you can pay your entry fee. If you get into the New York Marathon, you get to be on the same starting line or in the same starting crowd with people who are potentially Olympians, right?
Yeah.
Where else can you go and go to the starting line, and when the gun goes off, take off running at the same time as people who are paid to do it, who have I've done it at a high level internationally, right? But it's also the sense of well-being that you get from a job well done. Because you don't just have to race everybody else. You get to race yourself.
Yeah.
You get to outrun your past transgressions. You get to outrun the things that you want to leave behind. You get to outrun your formal out-of-shape self. You get to outrun your former slower self. You get to outrun the doubters. You get to outrun the haters. You get to outrun the people who says you can't. Because I always tell people the first three words, or the first three letters of the word can't is can. And a whole lot more people can't. And that's why I love coaching. Because instead of saying can't, we live in a can't world. You can't do that. I live in a can world. You can do that. Let's figure out how. Let's get this beautiful blueprint out. Let's get to work with our two hands. Let's get our fingernails just a little bit dirty here. And we're going to end up building something that's going to be really cool. And it's yours. You don't have to share it. Listen, I love team sports, you know, but I was 5'7" and 3/4, 125 pounds when I was in high school. I don't know if anybody knows anything about football in the state of Texas in high school, but 125 pounds ain't going to do much out there, right? But I could run really fast, pretty fast in a straight line, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've got my own niche, and I love team sports. Goodness gracious, do not anybody confuse that. But there is a certain level of satisfaction about going out there. And when you win, when you achieve a great victory, it's all yours, baby. But here's the difficult part where you're a bit in a fishbowl. You also have to own it when you crash and burn. You have to own it when you get your ass whooped and you look around and go, wow, there's not 10 other guys out there on the field. I get the blame on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So the high and the lows are low, but man, I love coaching it. I love competing at the Junior Olympics level when I was a kid, high school level, at the college level, post-collegiately. But I love coaching it, man. Love it.
Coach, I appreciate everything. I don't have any more questions. You pretty much answered everything, and I'm just really excited to see what we build in this 17-week prep, and I'm excited to step on the starting line in Indianapolis and ready to kick some ass.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a great day. We've got a lot of people headed to Indianapolis to run. We got runners all over the country running marathons, starting actually as early as August. We have a few. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's one big team of people who have their oars in a body of water, and we're all rowing in the same direction. And that's what I appreciate the most about it. I love watching the hard work. And Indianapolis is going to be a good time, man. We're going to go out there and we're going to run fast. How fast? That remains to be seen. That's why I'm working every day, right?
Hell yeah.
There we go.
Alright guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps out with the algorithm. So we talked about how to get faster in this video. So I teach you guys how to use the Math 180 method, how to use it, how to apply it to your life, what type of equipment you actually need to start getting into that type of training. And we hopped on call with Coach, and he told us how a sub 3 hour marathon training is going, what we can expect. And guys, that is episode 24. We are officially 16 weeks out from stepping on the starting line in Indianapolis, and I couldn't be more excited. And we're getting faster every damn day. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.